Warning, this video contains very disturbing subject matter and also graphic imagery. If you are sensitive to topics such as death, eating disorders, drug abuse, domestic violence, child abuse, sexual abuse, war and disfigurement, please do not watch this video as this video contains all of those topics. A top 20 PSAs list? Yeah, you heard that right. But this time I am talking about the top 20 PSAs from the US of A. The only area of the world I've covered so far is the UK, so I want to try and cover as many parts of the world as I can, and I will get around to those, don't worry. I find the USA to be interesting with their PSAs because they've got so many different PSAs, ranging from really good ones to really bad ones. And honestly, just because of that, this list was so hard to make. But before we get into the top 20 list, sponsor segment time. And also, don't worry, there will be a timer, either one of these corners, for how long this sponsor is going to go on for. Anyways, this video is sponsored by myself with my brand new Patreon. Yeah, I know, I made one in the past, but it wasn't that well thought out, and now I've revamped the Patreon to give you all some nice benefits that no other PSA enthusiast would have. This Patreon still has 3 tiers like my first one, and the first tier starts off at $5 Australian and it's called the Pusher tier. The kind of benefits you can expect in this tier is as follows: behind the scenes updates on new videos, an exclusive Discord tier, and even early access to new YouTube videos. My next tier for $10 Australian is the Pee Wee Herman tier. You still get the same benefits as my last tier, but you also get even more, such as access to my final scripts and the ability to vote on what video I make next. The last and final tier on my Patreon is the Top Chef tier. The biggest tier out of them all, sitting at $25 Australian, has all the same benefits, but you also get the added benefit of a custom video commission of your choice. Of course, you all don't have to sign up to my Patreon, but it does really help me out financially so I can potentially make bigger and better videos for you all. And also with the benefits I have gave to you guys on my Patreon, it helps you out as well, get more content, as well as it helps me out get more money so I can make bigger videos for you all. Anyways, on to the top 20 PSAs from the USA.
Operator 901, where's the emergency?
127 Brynmere.
Okay, what's going on there?
I'd like to order a pizza for delivery.
Ma'am, you've reached 911. This is an emergency line.
Large with half pepperoni, half mushrooms.
You know you've called 911. This is an emergency
Do you
line.
know how long it'll be?
Okay, ma'am, is everything okay over there? Do you have an emergency or not?
Yes.
And you're unable to talk because...
Right.
Is there someone in the room with you? Just say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like I have an officer about a mile from your location. Are there any weapons in your house?
No.
Can you stay on the phone with me?
No. See you soon. Thank you.
Originally this PSA wasn't actually going to be on the list, but I decided against it. I decided to put it on the list, and I will explain why. Basically, it's just the simplicity of hearing a real phone call to the authorities. Also, apparently the real phone call surfaced because of a Reddit post in 2014. The visuals don't do too much for me personally, but they do help you visualize what actually happened in this scenario. Also, a lot of people think this PSA is called pizza when it's actually called listen. Like, if you look into it, it's actually called listen because you have to listen when it's hard for people to talk. This PSA also aired during the 2015 Super Bowl, and it was apparently the first PSA to ever cover domestic violence during the Super Bowl ad breaks. The last thing that I'll mention that is actually really interesting is that the NFL themselves gave the company airtime for the PSA, and they actually funded the full production of the PSA too.
Tobacco companies show you images of what life would be like if you smoke.
They tell you tough, hard-working people smoke their cigarettes.
That you look cool, hip, rebellious.
That smoking makes you independent, beautiful, and mysterious.
But the reality is that you can end up looking like this.
Yeah, you might be surprised that this PSA is on the list, and honestly, I'm a bit surprised as well. But the main thing I really like about this PSA is the interesting approach it takes to talk about smoking and tobacco companies. I find it really cool how the PSA is constantly changing characters and scenes to show the fact that tobacco companies are trying to show the viewer that smoking is cool and hip. That's obviously until at the end of the PSA where we can see the kind of effects that smoking actually has on someone. It also might be my nostalgia talking because I saw this PSA on basically every DVD that I owned when I was younger. Also, I don't know if this is a theory or if it's actually confirmed to be true, but I believe each scene is a representation of how a tobacco company tries to make their product look cool. I know that's quite vague, but what I'm actually saying is that they're actually symbolizing each different company in each scene. Just let me explain. So the first scene we see a Camel representing Camel cigarettes, of course, it's in the name and the branding of the cigarettes. Then the Cowboy, which is meant to represent Marlboro, as the company usually advertise their products with cowboy smoke in their cigarettes. The next one is representing Cool cigarettes, yes, cool with a K, because their theme was green and playing up how cool smoking cigarettes are. But to be honest, I am not sure about the last scene, as I don't think any cigarette brands advertise themselves as being the luxury choice of cigarettes, except maybe Pall Mall cigarettes. It might be them as they may seem to be the most luxurious choice, but who knows. One thing I didn't know about this PSA is that this PSA was directed by Rocky Morton, the same person that directed the Super Mario Bros. Movie in 1993. Wild.
We're going to leave this here for you so you can see what 1,200 people actually look like. Keep following them up, guys.
Yeah, a good truth PSA. And there are a few truth PSAs on here. With this PSA in particular, I really like the interesting approach where they dumped 1,200 body bags in front of tobacco companies' building. Truth really made a big push during the 2000s to try and make people think that tobacco companies aren't cool and that smoking's not cool in general, and I really think it's Truth alone that did that. As I discussed in my Rise and Fall of Truth video, Truth really did have a big impact throughout the 2000s. One thing I didn't know about this PSA and the campaign is that it's praised as one of the best campaigns of the 21st century. It's also apparently one of the most effective campaigns in preventing youth tobacco use as well, which I find to be quite interesting, and honestly I can see why, because Truth was killing it in the 2000s.
Ready? We rolling? Okay, Ralph, can you mark it, please?
Do you want me to click it now?
Yep, go for it. Go on.
Like that?
Brilliant.
Oh, just like in the movies. Alrighty, so, my name's Ralph. I'm a rabbit, as you can see. I'm blind in my right eye, and, this ear. Can't hear nothing but ringing now. Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? Yeah. So I had my fur shaved and got chemical burns up and down my back. Kind of stings, eh? But it's not a big deal. It only really hurts when I, like, breathe or move around or whatever. Ah, yeah. Ow. Yeah, that hurts. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's okay. We do it for the humans, right? They're far superior to us animals. They've even been to space. Have you ever seen a rabbit in a rocket ship? Oh, I don't think so. Point is, I'm not a space bunny. I'm a tester. My daddy was a tester, my mum, my brothers, my sisters, my kids, all testers. And they all died doing their job. Like I will. But it's okay. Testing is what we were born to do. It makes us rabbits happy. Yeah. Oh, gotta get to work. Now I know it looks bad, but the way I see it, I'm doing my job. If just one human can have the illusion of a safer lipstick or deodorant or...
Hey, Ralphie! Psst. Ralphie! What's with the camera crew, bro?
They're just following me around, making a documentary or something.
Can you ask them to get us out of here?
Yeah, what will we see?
Come on, Ralphie, just ask them to get us out of here. I don't want to die, man.
Okay,
Ralphie!
Okay, I hear you. You can edit that out, right? Oh, here we go.
Hey, don't touch it!
Oh, shit! So in closing, I'd just like to say that...
Sorry, Ralph. We're over here. Can you turn around?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Is this better?
Yeah. Carry on, mate.
Okay, so yeah, I'd just like to say to everyone out there still buying animal-tested cosmetics like eyeliner, shampoo, sunscreen, pretty much everything in your bathroom. Well, without you and countries that allow animal testing, I'd be out of a job. I'd be on the streets. Well, not the streets, more like a field, I guess. You know, like a normal rabbit. But hey. It's all good.
A very recent PSA that fell under my radar for quite a while, that actually is a really good PSA that creates its own story around the message very well. Also, this is actually a very interesting approach to animal testing PSA where we follow the rabbit throughout his day. By the way, the rabbits are voiced by Taika Waititi. Just the simple direction that this PSA takes following the rabbit's life throughout his day, getting tested on and stuff like that is really good. Also, it's interesting to see that a PSA has 14 million views on YouTube, which is pretty nuts for a PSA. The message at the end of this PSA works really well as well, where it says no animals should suffer and die in the name of beauty. I think that's a really good message.
Global warming. Some say irreversible consequences are 30 years away. 30 years? That won't affect me.
What? A good twist ending PSA? Yeah, it's actually quite good. I think this PSA works quite well because it doesn't show you much at all, and it just has the man talking about global warming. It's pretty powerful stuff, and the PSA doesn't try and shove a lot of information down your throat either. The only thing that is said is that in 30 years' time, global warming's effects will be irreversible. The twist itself at the end of the PSA where the man walks off and the little girl's in front of the train is really good. It really symbolizes how big of an impact global warming will have on future generations by using that young girl in front of the train about to get hit by the train. I think that's excellent.
Sometimes you just lose alone. Oh, you don't always die from tobacco. Sometimes they just snip out your tongue, and you won't sing worth a heck with a big hole in your neck, 'cause you don't always die from tobacco.
Told you all truth would show up again. But the interesting thing about this PSA is that it was actually nominated for an Emmy. The Public Information Film Wiki says that it's 2 Emmys, but when I looked into it on the Emmys website, I could only find the 1 nomination. The nomination was for Outstanding Commercial, and unfortunately it didn't win that year. By the way, the first PSA to win in this category was in 2020, which was not long ago, which I will talk about later. I honestly really like the approach that Truth takes yet again with this PSA. That's what I always found interesting about Truth's PSAs throughout the 2000s, is that they always did public stunts to show the public how bad smoking is, and the kind of effects smoking can have on you. And I find that approach really sticks with you, because the first time I saw this PSA in particular was 11 years ago. And to say the least, I still remember the whole song in the PSA, and I remember everything that happens. It's really stuck with me, and I remember it very well. And that's a great thing. By the way, I'm not even joking, I remember the whole song off by heart.
Dang, bro, I'm so late. Yeah, I'm late to class, man. Yeah. Thinking about who I was gonna vote for, probably Drew. Jasmine. No, bro, she's fake. She's fake.
President, here you go. Thank you. Hi, guys. Vote for me for class president. Hi, ladies. I'm not voting for this. Can you believe this? Bye, ladies.
Someone wrote dead man on my poster.
Dude, this sure lot me right.
Just leave me alone.
You're not voting for your ex-boyfriend.
Here you go. Thank you. Hi, guys. Vote for me for class president.
Your principal speaking. Don't forget, cast your vote today.
All right, come on, guys. Gym class ended 5 minutes ago. Let's go. Yo, stupid freak!
Look at me!
Yet another PSA that was nominated for Outstanding Commercial at the Emmys, but unfortunately this one didn't win either. But the year after, another Sandy Hook PSA got nominated for Outstanding Commercial and actually won it. Yeah, I bet you know which PSA that is. Yes, it is the Back to School Essentials PSA. And to be honest, I think this one is better than that PSA. I find this PSA to be much more subtle, as we just follow a kid's perspective as he goes throughout his school day. We do see 2 subtle nods that the main character does want to shoot up the school, and they aren't ridiculous and obnoxious like the Evan PSA. One is with the locker, which is an obvious one, and the other one is with a Facebook post on the library computer. I think what really sells the PSA, to be honest, is the end text. Most people only notice a shooter once it's too late. I think that line alone is brilliant and it works well with the PSA. I'm not going to dive into how this works in the real events because I think you all can kind of connect the dots and I don't really want to go in depth about that. So yeah, to be honest, this PSA in my eyes is better than the Back to School Essentials PSA, but they are both pretty close in my eyes. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but when the main character says "look at me" at the end of the PSA, I find that to be really effective. You can hear how much anger and sadness is in his voice when he's saying that. It's really good line delivery.
Another lesson from my neighborhood. Do you know how to tell if mom is overdosing on drugs? If your mom shoots dope every day like mine, you can only help her if you know the signs of an overdose.
An overdose?
Yes, an overdose. Don't call the ambulance if you're in doubt, unless she shakes uncontrollably or foams at the mouth. That's an overdose.
Okay, that's an overdose.
That's an overdose.
You could find her on the floor or find her in bed, and if you know what to do, she won't end up dead of an overdose. Yes, an overdose.
I don't know.
The signs of danger are simple to see. If she's twitching and seizing and can barely breathe, that's an overdose.
Yeah.
That's an overdose. That's an overdose. Mom always knows best.
I originally had all 3 lessons from my neighborhood PSAs on here, but I decided to only put one on here. I personally just find the overdose PSA to be the best one, even though all of them are like nearly as equally as good, I just prefer the overdose PSA. Also, I find it interesting how these PSAs imitate Sesame Street style puppets when the director of this PSA, say Peter Thomas, went on to direct a Farmers Insurance ad featuring Bert and Ernie, Cookie Monster, Grover, and also J.K. Simmons. The lessons from my neighborhood PSAs actually ended up at Cannes Film Festival under the Lions films in 2018, which is nuts. All 3 of these PSAs do amazingly well at imitating the Sesame Street style. It is ridiculously good. It also works as a representation of how a child might see these events and how they're going through them, which I find to be really interesting if you think about it that way. Also, I feel that the PSAs really hit when the final quote comes up at the end from like a young child having to learn these lessons, which is a really unfortunate reality where some kids have to learn these lessons.
If I had asked, what does meth do to your brain? Does meth make you hear voices? Or if I asked, can't you just stop doing meth? My mom wouldn't be asking.
Oh God, what did you do? Oh, baby, hold on, please. Honey! Gerald! Hold still, please. Honey, no!
I really like the approach of this PSA where it just starts off with a girl staring at the camera as the narrator talks over the PSA. Also, the twist where the girl actually slit her wrist at the end of the PSA is really powerful because if you think about it, it's more like she thinks that she can't stop doing meth, so she feels like she has no other way out. And when you really think about it that way, I find it to be quite sad that someone can think that just because you're addicted to a drug, that they feel like they have no other way out of doing that drug. Sure, it is a bit extreme, but I do really think that this PSA is a great representation of what could possibly happen if you get addicted to meth. There are a few other Montana Meth Project PSAs that take this approach, but honestly, this one is the best one out of all of those, because the other PSAs in this campaign, they get their message across well, but not as well as this PSA.
Chocolate, vanilla, and cinnamon. Apple, honey, and berry blend. Strawberry, wildberry, tangerine. Mango, raspberry, wintergreen. That's how you make cancer sweet. Why do they make tobacco taste sweet? Oh, why do they make tobacco taste sweet?
Yet another PSA that has an excellent approach, and it's honestly my favorite truth PSA. By the way, this public stunt was actually done at Hollywood Boulevard. How do I know that? Well, if you look at the background of the PSA, you can see that there's a Hollywood Museum and Ripley's Believe It or Not in the background, which is on Hollywood Boulevard. I think the song is extremely catchy in this PSA, and it also does tell you how many different flavors tobacco companies make to keep people addicted to smoking or hook in new people. It was a great idea to use hospital patients to sing this song, as it really has more of an impact by doing that and actually visualizes what can happen to you if you get addicted to smoking. Because compare that to like an average Joe singing this song, this PSA would not have much of an impact at all if they did that. Instead, using the hospital patients really visualizes what can happen if you end up smoking long term. This PSA just hits like a truck for me. I think it's just the twist that Jesselyn had to suffer for 11 years before passing away is what really hits me. It's just another really good twist ending PSA, and honestly it's the best PSA from Ad Council's Friends Don't Let Friends Drive Drunk campaign. Also, the approach of using footage of the victim before the accident just really works for me. I don't know what it is, but I really like it. Yeah, this is probably most people's favourite PSA, or at least on their top 10. I can see why, as the jingle is really catchy, and it has some disturbing visuals to match with the jingle. There's an alternate version of this PSA that has a different sounding jingle, but still the same lyrics, which I don't think is as good, because it's not really catchy or anything like that compared to the original PSA. But that's not to say that the alternate version doesn't have an interesting approach as well, because it does. There is one PSA that has this same approach, which is actually better, and I think you all might know what PSA that is.
Where's dinner?
Well, I thought you'd be home a couple of hours ago, and I put everything away, so
what
I
is
did...
this? Pizza? What, pizza?
If you had just called me, I would have known what...
Dinner ready is a pizza.
I didn't know you'd be so late.
Let me ask you something. Is it too much to have dinner waiting when I go home?
Please don't be so loud.
Don't tell me what to do! You shut up!
I thought you'd be home
I can get pizza at work!
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll do something better. I'll fix you something better. Let go of me!
Get in the kitchen!
No!
Well, it hurts! Do you want to see what hurts? That's what hurts! That's what hurts! Now get up and clean up this mess! Shut up!
I'll be quiet.
Such a brilliant approach in domestic violence. We only hear what's happening whilst we see the child witness these events. It's so well done, especially for a PSA from the 80s. I am really impressed. The depiction of domestic violence in this PSA is really good as well, especially compared to a lot of other 80s PSAs that would cover the same topic. Also, the slogan being "children have to sit by and watch, what's your excuse?" is just a really good slogan that really sticks with you.
This is my blog entry. I started using meth after high school. It made me more and more depressed. Voices told me my family would be better off without me. I tried to hang myself in a barn with a rope, but my convulsions made it break. So I took a rifle, put it under my chin, and pulled the trigger.
When Partnership for a Drug-Free America does twist ending PSAs well, they do it extremely well. I love how the PSA starts as a simple blog entry until it gets more and more disturbing until we see that David tried to hang himself and then shoot himself after his first suicide attempt failed. But the reveal to see that David's still alive after his suicide attempts is really powerful, and we actually get to see the aftermath of his attempts. It's really powerful stuff. Yeah, if you all haven't realized yet, simplicity goes a long way for me.
Son, I figured when you were old enough, I'd talk to you about drugs. I'd tell you they're nothing but poison. Tell you to stay away from the garbage that pushes that junk. Only I never figured that I ought to be telling that to a 13-year-old.
If you don't teach your kids to say no to drugs, it's as good as saying yes.
Hey, another twist ending PSA. Sure, some of you might see this PSA as a little dated, but I just love it. Yet again, it's just the simple approach of a father talking to his son about drugs that I really like. But then it's revealed that the son died at the age of 13 after using drugs, whilst the father's at the cemetery visiting his grave. I love that shit, and I think this PSA does it really well, because normally parents wouldn't talk to their kids about drugs when they're at the age of 13. Unless it's just me, but that's how I feel at least. But the PSA shows that even young kids in their early teens can get addicted to drugs and end up dying from overdosing.
It's the freshest new feeling, the coolest high. So pick up some heroin and shoot for the sky. Everybody's doing it, doing it. Everybody's doing it. Glamorous parties, a night on the town. With beautiful people, it's always around. Everybody's doing it, doing it. Heroin for the rest of your life.
The better Partnership for a Drug-Free America jingle PSA. Honestly, I'm so surprised that so many Partnership for a Drug-Free America PSAs are on this list. I find this jingle to be more memorable and catchy compared to the Cleaning Girl PSA. Also, the visuals look a lot better and are more disturbing than the Cleaning Girl PSA. Also, this is actually directed by Ridley Scott. If you don't know who he is, he directed Alien, Blade Runner, and even the well-known 1984 Macintosh commercial, which definitely helps. I really like the visual style of this PSA because it shows heroin to be really gross and disgusting, and that you can end up like this if you get addicted to heroin. I just wish there was a better quality version of this PSA because the best quality version there is on YouTube is 240p. It really sucks.
This is where he went into convulsions. This is the emergency room where he nearly died. This is where he smoked it again, right after he got out. This is where he hung himself, because he said he couldn't quit. And this is what I said when he told me he was gonna try meth.
The best Montana Meth Project PSA. There's no argument against that. But talk about a powerful PSA. Shit. The visuals alone do it for me, but the narration also helps this PSA out too. It's so well done, and also the message that you should try and say something before someone does meth is really well done here. I know there are a few of these PSAs as well from Montana Meth Project, but this one does it the best. It really shows how addicted people can get to meth, and that how far they get into doing the drugs and they feel like they can't get out of doing meth. Even after almost dying, some meth addicts will still keep doing the drug and feel like they cannot escape it. It's just really sad and honestly really powerful stuff too.
Sarpy County 911.
I need help.
Where are you at?
Well, ma'am, I don't know exactly, but I'm freezing, and my girlfriend's is freezing.
Mike, I want to help you so bad, hon. I want to find out where you're at.
My phone's just about to die. You're my last chance here. We're scared. Please help us.
Now, the best Partnership for a Drug-Free America PSA. But the fact that this all really happened is what makes it work so well for me. Also, the fact that we get to visualize the couple that ended up freezing to death in the blizzard really helps this PSA too, with only little bits of text here and there to give us a bit more info about what happened. I know this call's much longer and they cut out a bit out of the actual phone call, but I find this PSA to still be really powerful. I love it how the PSA just lets the phone call do the talking. They let that just play out without many interruptions at all, only a few little bits of text to give us a little bit more information about the end result of what happened after the phone call. It's still so sad that the couple froze to death in a blizzard, and also the emotion and the man's voice in the phone call just hits so hard.
My name is Jacqueline Saborido. This is a picture of me before I was hit by a drunk driver. Before the car caught fire. Before 2 of my friends died. Before I needed more than 40 operations. This is me when my life was just like anyone else in college. This is me after being hit by a drunk driver.
Don't drink and drive. Ever.
This PSA honestly wasn't one of my favorites for a while, because I was disturbed by it, but after watching it more and more, I love this PSA. It is so powerful. It's just really sad what she had to go through, and I'm glad that her story was heard by many different outlets such as this PSA, even on Oprah and 60 Minutes. It's horrible that someone has to suffer like this for so long, and unfortunately she did pass away in 2019. Still, the PSA delivers the message so well just by showing what she looks like before the accident, and then afterwards her pulling down the photo to reveal herself after the accident. It's really powerful stuff. By the way, the whole accident is absolutely horrible as she suffered really bad burns because the car lit up in flames.
Gosh, Darlene, it sure is amazing how much we have in common.
I know, Larry. We both love three-car pileups. We both were built in Buffalo.
And we both know wearing safety belts helps save thousands of lives.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Don't mind Vince. He's getting over a bad breakup.
I know. Janet's picking up the pieces, too. They're in here.
I wish they understood it's all worth it to get people to buckle up.
Hey, lacerated lovebirds, I sense a major crush.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Talk about head over heels.
What's wrong, Vince?
My woman's done left me, my dog ran away, and people still aren't wearing their safety belts.
Aw, Vince, you singing those buckle-up blues again?
Some people don't wear their seat belts. I can't believe it's true. Those kind of people get knocked right out of their shoes. So buckle up, baby. Don't sing me those buckle-up blues.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
I mean it, baby. Buckle, honeysuckle, buckle, yeah.
Why don't you come up here, Pumpkin?
What are you doing, Larry?
Well, Vince, I've asked my Pumpkin to sit on my lap to prove a point.
And what is that, your Larryness?
Even if we fasten our safety belts, even if you hold on tight, even if you were watching the road...
Yeah?
In a crash, your Pumpkin will be nothing but a squash.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Use child safety seats.
We love that little pumpkin to pieces.
Here's a not-so-fun fact, Vince.
And what is that, your Larryness?
A rollover happens every 10 minutes.
Well, how long have we been driving?
9 minutes and 58.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Oh, this job is wearing very thin.
Get up. Safety belt test at 9. Hurry.
Not another windshield taste test. Count me out.
What? The old pro backing down from a motorhome?
Nothing like that. I'm just tired of trying to convince people to wear safety belts. No one's listening.
Safety belt saved Barbara Mandrell.
You're right. Someone listen. Let's hit the road.
You hungry, partner?
Let's do some donuts on the way in.
Good idea.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
I think you all knew that Vince and Larry would be up here. I played a few of my favorite PSAs on this spot, but honestly the whole campaign needs to go here because I was going to try and pick one PSA, but that wouldn't be doing the whole campaign justice. Everything about these PSAs is amazing. The brilliant approach on a very serious topic is just mind-blowing. These PSAs are so underrated as they did so much for seatbelt use in America. It is actually mental. I really love the puns as well in this PSA, and I find them to be really effective, and I actually find them quite funny. Vince and Larry are hilarious, while also being informative to the viewer how seatbelts can save your life. I never grew up with these PSAs at all, but when I found out about these PSAs, I was just instantly hooked. And to find out that this PSA campaign started in 1985 and ended in 1997 just blew my mind. It honestly surprised me because most PSAs through the 80s and 90s about car safety were trying to scare the viewer. Honestly, I could go on for days about saying how good this campaign is and how much I love it, but hey, it's number one on this list for a very good reason, and if you haven't watched their PSAs, I recommend checking them out. That was my top 20 PSAs from the United States. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my list or not, as I'd love to hear your opinions on this topic. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to go give it a like, and if you enjoy my content, please make sure to subscribe as it really does help me out. My Discord's also in my description, as well as my Patreon. If you want to check those out, feel free to. With all that done and dusted, I shall see you all next video.